Is that a python in your trousers, or are you just pleased to see me? Right, so Python. This weapon's doing the rounds a fair bit lately. I finally got my one. Well, I've had it built up for a while. I've just been messing around and testing it so I could potentially and hopefully make this video and have it come across in a clear, concise and easy manner. Python, it is an SMG, of course. It's got one of, if not it is the fastest fire rate weapon in the game. I could be wrong. It's around the blue blood bloomer levels of fire rate, and its entire mechanic revolves around hitting weak points. Upon hitting a weak point, it will activate a talent called Prey. What Prey does, it has a duration of around 1 second at base. I've got mine at unique level 1, as you can see. Max stack, I think is at base is 20. It reduces non-attribute resistance as well as toxin resistance. Non-attribute resistance is skills of the non-attribute variety, not base defense. And it also reduces toxin resistance, so that hitting them with toxic element will actually do more damage. This is a screenshot of the weapon at level 4 unique, so the duration is 2 seconds, max stack is 28, and we get a fair bit more in the toxin as well as non-attribute resistance defense decrease of whatever it is you're hitting. Now at base, this weapon is very, very weak point centric. Normally in games like this, SMGs are very crit focused. Not true with Python. Building it for crit is kind of a no-no. It's got like 5% base critical hit chance, but it's got pretty good weak point. So it kind of makes sense that the entire mechanic around it is built on weak point. Now, for when building this weapon, like I said, there's a few ways you can go about it, but ideally you kind of want to go for weak point. So for the rolls, I would suggest weak point, firearm and toxic. I've now gone for damage to Colossus, simply just because it's the main area where I actually really use this weapon. But they're the rolls I have. They're not the highest, but still. When it comes to the build, this is what I'm running. This is going to be very different from what a lot of people are opting into. And the reason I've built it this way is because I want to be able to use one build, simply because those cerulean sockets are kind of annoying to move around, and when it's not on Glay, you absolutely do need that mag size, but when it is on Glay, it is kind of a waste, simply just because you don't need the mag size on Glay. But there's not a lot I can do, simply because without Glay, I absolutely do need that mag size. So for the cards that I am running, hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from, but toxic enhancement, fire rate, rifle reinforcement, weapon tuning with the firearm attack, not the weak point one. The reason I've gone for firearm attack is quite simply it's going to boost firearm attack, the weak point, as well as the toxic elements. I'm trying to go for like all three. It also means if I don't hit the weak point, I'm still getting a bonus. So that's kind of why I've gone for the firearm attack side of things. It's only 1%, so who cares, but still. Weak point sight, pinpoint shot, again, for more weak point damage. It's not a lot, it's only 2%, I know, and someone's going to be screaming at me saying action and reaction. I'll explain in a minute. Poison priority, weak point detection for, again, more weak point damage as well as 1% firearm attack. Mental focus is going to be our gold mod, and obviously the other cerulean was our mag size. Now, the reason I've gone for mental focus is because if I'm not running Glay, there's not really a lot of decent ammo options or damage options. Some people are going to go with sharp precision shot, but you simply can't hit max stack regardless, and it ends up actually being less than mental focus, as you can see in the background footage now, going to 53 stacks. It's not great. I will be the first to tell you it's not great, but still getting 53 stacks with mental focus outperforms sharp precision shot, simply because it always resets. Always. Obviously, mental focus also resets, but the reason I've gone for mental focus is mostly just because I'm a Glay main. So here we can see sharp precision shot in action. It doesn't even sound as fast at like maximum capacity, so we clearly have to get a few more rounds in this for the magazine, so hopefully we can actually stack more. So now we're going to add some more rounds. We're just going to add in essentially whatever ones I've got maxed out to get the most rounds in, not picking them for a specific purpose. We're literally just trying to get as many rounds as possible, and now we can actually potentially start to stack, and it still doesn't even really get that high. It gets to like 4 or 5 stacks, which is barely worthwhile realistically. However, some of you at this point are probably thinking, well, you've got Glay, why not just use the infinite ammo thing on Glay? Well, here's the problem. The moment you stop firing with sharp precision shot, it resets regardless. And the way in which you would use it with Glay is to get the infinite ammo, burn through that buff, and then burn through your magazine to get to max stack, which still means you're going to be consuming ammo just at a slower rate. Not really too much we can do about this. Obviously, it sounds absolutely awesome if we can get our fire rate mods on there. You start to sound and feel like an A10 Warthog. It's kind of fun getting that full Unga Bunga out there. I am not disagreeing with that. Which, just in case you haven't heard it, yeah, that is capable across the entire magazine with the Glay buff, is capable of some serious DPS. And if you are planning on going sharp precision shot, Glay's basically the only character that can make full use of it. But hopefully, as you can see here, me reactivating the infinite ammo thing completely resets sharp precision shot, so we're not even able to get like the maximum out of it. Sharp precision shot, if you're not running Glay, is kind of not really that worth it, simply just because you can't get the full buff up. Having 53 stacks from mental focus still does more on the third magazine. This is where the game gets a bit weird, and there's a little bit of math involved. I'll try not to bore you with the details too much, and I'm not going to put anything up on screen. I'm always going to upset some people. Prove it! Essentially, starting from 0, going the full way through the buff and consuming the full mag, sharp precision shot will do more on the first magazine versus mental focus. On the second magazine, sharp precision shot only just edges it. The problem here is we are able to constantly stack, specifically with Glay, mental focus up to 150 because it has a duration of 2 seconds unless we reload, which gives us more than enough time to press our third ability to reproc infinite ammo so that we can continually stack mental focus up to the full 150, which ends up being more damage, which is why I've built it this way. I'm hoping all of that made sense. Right, on to the next bit of why am I not using action and reaction as well as have aiming. The simple reason being, this weapon is very weak point dependent. If you're not hitting weak points, the weapon quite simply just doesn't function anywhere near as well as it should. Will action and reaction as well as have aiming be more damage? Yes, absolutely. 100%. If you're able to hit the weak point. So realistically, this is a personal choice for me because my accuracy in this game is mediocre at best. And if your accuracy in this game is mediocre at best, then I suggest not having action and reaction as well as have aiming on your Python build, simply just because if you're not hitting those weak points, you are going to be better off going for a crit weapon just to at least get some of your extra damage out, and it also doesn't matter anywhere near as much. It still matters, but anywhere near as much as having weak point as a focus point of the weapon. So I'm using Dead Bride here as an example. Her weak points are kind of small, especially in comparison to something like the Devourer, who has those massive kneecaps and shoulder pads. Dead Bride has rather small weak points on the back of her calves. They're kind of hard to hit, as well as the shoulder pads are quite a bit smaller. And then when she goes into her angry mode, they're not technically weak points, but the amplifiers on the weapon, they're considerably smaller, along with the amount that she moves around and wobbles and does all of her ballerina stuff. She's decidedly harder to hit consistently on the weak points. Having action and reaction, which is going to decrease, or well, give you a debuff to your recoil, and have aiming, which is going to decrease your overall accuracy. I don't feel, personally for me, that it's worthwhile having those two mods on there, simply just because you're not really going to be able to consistently hit them. That's literally it. If you are a player that is able to consistently hit those weak points, especially on something like Dead Bride, at range with all of her flopping around and moving. Go nuts. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying at least have reasonable expectations of your accuracy as to whether or not you can actively continually hit those weak points at range. That's all I'm saying. That's it. So yeah, that is Python. Hopefully you've potentially learned something from this video or given you a few ideas on how you wish to personally run your Python. That is going to be it for this video, however. In the meantime, have fun, good luck, and don't die. It's bad for the health.